Hi everyone, today is Thursday, October 4, and up and coming, I'm going to actually see if I can get some videos of, I don't know, some kind of equipment that sort of floats, right? And assemble a team that can actually sort of move with my rhythm as well. So these little videos that I put up and stuff, there's all these little technical things going on behind the scenes. So thanks for watching. And this video is actually going to be about curriculum reform in Canada. There's this huge problem with something called the design of curriculums related to education. In the Canadian system, you have different versions of education. You have from grade 0 to grade 12, 13. And then you have something called post-secondary or after high school education. In the United States, they say college, but college could also refer to university. In the Canadian context, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more hierarchical, where people say, oh, well, those people that go to college, they're, lower than us because we're somehow from, university world, whatever. There's these ways of sort of layering people. And I personally don't support that position. I support that, have the resources available to everyone. Free education. That will actually move us forward as far as dealing with, for example, the residue of colonization in Canada. So this video is basically about my thoughts around the need for punitive curriculum reform. I don't know if people even begin to question the seriousness of the contributions of something called a curriculum to violence. If people are being taught to hate themselves, if people are being taught that yes, it's okay to celebrate broken black families, yes, it's okay to celebrate the bastardization of the black woman, yes, it's okay to celebrate all these things related to the supremacy of pathological whiteness, where is accountability for that kind of stuff? I was talking with a sister and a few, as well as brothers, and we're like, what the fuck is all this stuff? And thank you to the wonderful chocolates in our community. We love you as well. Really good ones, good black males that love black women. And you know what? They're right behind us because they're walking right with us. They have this thing in Canada where they design these curriculums that actually teach people to hate themselves. Starting from, for example, the Indigenous in Canada. Go take a look at your curriculum from grade 0. Can you actually trace that curriculum? Say, what the fuck did I learn about the Indigenous community from grade 0 to grade 13? What did I learn? Where? Since inception of something called the Constitution in Canada, 1981, why has there been absolutely no fucking attention to the danger of something called a curriculum? A curriculum is worse than a fucking gun. It's worse than fucking whatever, implement of some sort. Because you know what? It actually shapes the type of consciousness. When you actually teach people that, it's okay to not critically think, it's okay to socialize yourself into conditions where you can be very, very differential to even yourself. These are beyond fucking pharmaceutical bullshit stuff. I have a couple videos about, stuff related to medicalization, stuff related to empowerment, stuff related to, air, land, water, soil, black human health, even like observational things where I'm just walking around, I'm like, oh, that's strange, let me provide some commentary about that. And I'm going to continue to do this shit. Because you know what? This stuff is wrong. And especially within this context with respect to curriculum reform. Why isn't there any national debate around the need to revise and revamp these fucking curriculums? There's something called Indigenous teaching pedagogy. That design, that method, should be implemented in every fucking school system in Canada. From grade 0 to grade 13 in every single, they have like public school system, they have something called a separate school system. You know what? It's part of the social infrastructure. You got to standardize something because everybody becomes interactive at some point. Canada needs to stop teaching blacks to hate theirself. They need to stop this. And you know what? It has to stop from, for example, curriculum development. Where exactly is there any analysis about how these curriculums are designed? In my own life, for example, I was sharing with somebody recently that, I went through, 13 years or something of schooling, and I only had, out of the 13 years, maybe 15 minutes of any exposure to something called Indigenous education in Canada. So what the fuck is this? And I remember even at the time, I was like, you know what, this is just strange. And how I was, in this separate school system is a completely different story. But you know what, I was able to survive that because even though, for example, a lot of the stuff that the teachers were teaching was bullshit, I was questioning every fucking single one of them. I was like, wait a minute here. It's talking about genetics in fucking grade 5. And then they have these stupid little disciplinary action things where they say, oh, go sit and go. I remember one time there was this Caucasian guy from Portugal, very, very white-skinned. And he was talking about, how the first race or the first elements of human civilization were Caucasian, and the supremacy of Caucasianness. This was in fucking grade 5, in a separate school system. So I looked at this motherfucker and I said to him, I said, you know what, you make no fucking sense. Because you know what, when you actually factor science, and then I started talking about genetics, he just looked at me, he said, oh, go stand at the back and look up and count all the dots on the ceiling. You know why the motherfucker did that? Because he wanted to see me seeing myself lynched. These motherfuckers are sick. Very sick. Where is he now? I hope he's fucking with the wolves. People, curriculum is a weapon. In this particular demographic that I am in, for example, it's a global economic north, it's in Canada, and it's in one particular province. Each province has their own little personality, let's just put it that way, right? But everything works together as one nation. What is the spirit of the nation? It's not the supremacy of whiteness. It's the supremacy of nature. We have to start questioning this thing called curriculum. There has to be a national debate on curriculum reform. Who's actually benefiting from this? In this particular, it's called an urban demographic that I am in right now. I've been to these meetings and it's fucking ridiculous, okay? It's fucking ridiculous. These meetings in like these basements or whatever, right? And I'm like, okay, go to the community center or whatever, go to some fucking basement. And you know what? You should hear how people talk about students. I'm like, why are you guys even in your fucking, how did you guys even get your jobs? If you hate students so much, leave the profession. All the names are the same. How do you have a teaching profession in a particular community? You can look at like different circles. They all have similar last names. I said, what the fuck is this? Or they look all the same. Or they all think the same. Or they're closing down schools where schools are needed. So we need to invest in schools. We need to say, okay, you know what? You have that school, there's this school, and that's also part of the public system. You have that crap education over there, and you have the good stuff that's based on critical thinking and moving forward with solutions. It is fucking disgusting in this particular Canada demographic, where you see how the curriculums are designed. You see the implications of a curriculum that makes no sense to the individual. And my positionality is to look at gaps. I mean, one way to actually move forward with solutions that actually work is to look at the gaps. Don't shy away from them. Don't be scared of them. But you know what? Say, what the fuck is this stuff? Look who's getting paid and who's not getting paid. Look who's designing stuff and who's not designing stuff. Look who's not citing their sources. So you know what? This video is just to say, you know what? Start checking this thing called fucking curriculum. This shit ain't funny. When you socialize a black person to hate their self, think of the type of dynamics as a result of that. So many black children, they fucking have no idea. Just running around, and very disrespectful, some of them, in ways that they may not know any better, because there has been this intervention. They did this to the Indigenous community. Why has not the Canadian state actually learned from the experience of the Indigenous community? There's something called residential schools. Have you guys actually looked into this stuff? I went to actually a school that was for Indigenous people. One day in that school. And you know what? I had over 13 years of education in that fucking one day. Doesn't that tell you something? I see like these little, they even have these black shit is what I call them. But it's so funny because they come up with all these terms in the US. I just fucking laugh. Afropeans. It's the black skin Europeans. The ones that said, hey, it's good to enslave our own. And then you have us that are like, oh, really? You better think again what the fuck you're doing. Because you know what? Your shit ain't right. It ain't right at all. Curriculum reform in Canada. Start discussions around this, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching.